Hello YouTubers. If you're sitting comfortably, I'm going to read you a story today, but I need a bit of explanation before I start to do that. When my wife died, or after my wife died, I needed to get back into society again, and since I don't like travelling, I don't like holidays, I don't do pubs, clubs and socialise, I went back to my college where I've always felt completely at home, where I would be surrounded with loads of people and noise and activities, and took up some classes in what I think they called IT. I don't know quite what that means, but text processing and spreadsheets and mail merge and all of those things, and so I did quite a lot of that. And this time I was in the company mostly of women, young to middle-aged women who were trying to upgrade their skills so they could get better jobs and things like that. And it was, of course, very, very enjoyable. But it wasn't very creative, and I wanted to do something a little bit more in the creative field, and I joined a class that was doing what they called creative writing. And so I did quite a lot of that and did all the exercises and was, as you would expect, a good boy and did everything as I was told, and did produce quite a lot of rubbish of essays and little short stories and pieces. And I was looking through them the other day, and I came across one that is somewhat relevant to the things I've been blogging about recently, because it told the story of some children and children who haven't yet received the blows and bruises of life. It just, I hope, if it tells anything at all, tells of the cruelty and the way that children can be very cruel to each other, very hurtful to each other. And so, just as an experiment, I will read you that story. So if you just wait while I desaturate my image and put me into the background, that's what I'll do. The story is called Marrainy. You didn't mess with Marrainy. It wasn't that we were scared, but you never knew for certain. That is, until Jimmy Saunders came to the village. Monday mornings were always a pain. First lesson was geography with Miss Johnson, but that Monday started off worse than most. David Richardson and me got involved in a pushing match, both of us trying to squeeze between the desks to claim a seat on the back row to sit next to Althea Brown. Althea would be described in today's parlance as intellectually challenged, and at 12 was a year older than the rest of us. I lost, and it was while I was grovelling on the floor to gather up the spilt contents of my bag that Miss Johnson came in with Jimmy Saunders at her side. He was small, a mop of curly red hair topped a cherub-like face made owl-like by the round-framed glasses. All 3 buttons of his red blazer were buttoned up, the tops of his grey socks meticulously turned over to display the 3 red stripes, and his pristine white shirt was tucked inside his trousers. "Quiet! What are you doing, Peter?" "I dropped my bag, miss. Come down here and sit at the front where I can see you." Richard kicked me as I bent down to pick up my bag. Althea sniggered. "We have a new boy joining the class today. His name is James Saunders, and he's just come to live in our area from London. I'm sure you'll make him welcome and introduce him to the delights of our lovely school and the beautiful countryside in which we are privileged to live. She tenderly shepherded the boy like a collie herding a sheep into a pen, and set him down next to me. "You can sit there for the time being. We've been discussing the ecology of America in the last 2 lessons. Today we will start with a bit of revision and identify some of the states, and then later discuss the economies of some of them, by which I mean the industries and lifestyles and how they are coloured by their position, climate and terrain. America is a very large continent with a wide range of temperatures, vast areas of desert and mountains, as well as highly developed industrial areas." James looked straight ahead with wide-eyed attention, as though he knew what she was talking about, as she pinned the large map to the blackboard. Pointing to the map, she said, "Can anyone tell me the name of this state?" James' arm shot up like a bowler appealing to the umpire for an LDBW decision. "Texas, miss." Those 2 words, articulated in an accent like a Radio 3 announcer, quietened the general noise of the class as we searched for pens, books and sweets from our bags as efficiently as if a gun had been fired. Althea sniggered. "Yes, very good. And what would you think the temperature would be in that latitude?" "Hot, miss." We relaxed in the mistaken belief that she would let James answer all her questions, since he obviously was capable. "Peter, Peter! Can you give me the name of another state?" Florida?" "Yes, and can you tell me where it is?" "It's that little bit that hangs down somewhere near the middle." Althea sniggered. "Yes, quite right. And can anyone else tell us what industries we would find there?" She dragged the answers from individuals with as much difficulty as one has in reaching that elusive piece of snot. Dick said film stars, Evelyn said Disneyland, and then all knowledge was exhausted, although James's arm was erect throughout. "I was thinking of something that is of monumental importance in the development of the modern world of science and technology, which I would have thought all of you would know." We all looked blank until she was forced to respond to James's signal. "The NASA rocket launching sites, miss." "Yes, of course." She beamed down at him. He smiled with pride. I could see that we were going to have a word with our posh little Einstein. We took Miss Johnson's request to befriend the nerd to heart and invited him to join us in the woods. Dave hoped and expected to meet Althea. Let's see if the nerd would respond to her advances. "It doesn't look like she's coming," Dave said. "Never mind. It's a treat we'll save for you for another night. Let's go and annoy old Marrainy." "Who's Marrainy?" "She's a witch who lives in an old horse-drawn caravan on the other side of the wood." "Don't be silly. There are no such things as a witch." "You know it all, don't you? I don't suppose you have witches in London." "I told you there's no such thing. That's just something people tell you to scare you." "Well, I bet you daren't go in 100 yards of the place." "Course I dare, but it's not very nice to just go and annoy someone for no reason." "We have got a reason. It's a laugh." "She won't care. She's crazy. Come on, we'll show you." We left the path to climb a bank that would lead us to a vantage point overlooking but a safe distance away from Marrainy's site, a route we'd taken many times before. Dave led the way, pushing through brambles, ferns and branches of saplings, letting them spring back into the face of the person behind, until we reached the clearing. One branch of the oak tree stretched out horizontally at a height of about 4 feet, its surface denuded of foliage and polished smooth, where we had often sat on it in order to bounce furiously until its violent oscillations threw the weakest one of us off. We'd played there many times before and thought about giving the nerd a go, but decided better of it and carried on with our mission to introduce him to Marrainy. The caravan lay beneath us in a clearing next to the stream. The embers of a fire glowed in the gathering gloom of the evening. A cauldron hung above it on a pole supported by 2 wooden tripods. Hanging from a similar arrangement were 3 rabbits, their back legs joined together, with the foot of one threaded through the tendon of the other. The slits in their gutted bellies were held open with a stick, rather like a surgeon might use a retractor to hold open his incision. 2 crows hung by their neck from the branches of a tree. As we moved along, the lurcher got up from his position at the bottom of the steps leading to the open door of the caravan and growled. Marrainy appeared at the doorway. It was difficult to see her against the faint glow of light from inside, but she presented a frightening figure in her long black dress. Her long, raven-coloured hair flowed over the multicoloured shawl around her shoulders, and in her hand was a smoker's pipe. Her features were not discernible, and she seemed more like a clothed skeleton than a living being. "Who's there?" Dave put his hands to his mouth and let out a wolf-like howl. "I know who you are. No good will come of your pranks. The moon is in the ascendance, the stars are positioned in my favour. My curse is on you. Beware, my stupid boys." Dave howled again. "I don't see what you're frightened about," Jimmy said. "She's just an old woman who's a bit deranged. I'd quite like to talk with her." "Well, go on then, I dare you." The nerd's altruistic intentions weren't reciprocated. We could see him standing within 3 feet of her. They were talking, but what they were saying couldn't be heard above the noise of the barking chained-up dog. But it was very clear that Marrainy's gesticulating that she didn't wish for his company. We could have told him that. "That was pretty stupid of you. What did she say? Did she put her curse on you?" "Oh, I don't know, a load of rubbish about the moon and stars, and that her curse would bring me bad luck and to keep away and stuff. Poor old lady, she's very old and must have had a hard life. It's very sad. But we'll have to hurry home now, please. My mum doesn't want me to be out after dark." It seems that James, apart from being brainy, was a good athlete, and by the time we turned the corner of the lane leading to the village, he was 100 yards ahead of us. We heard the scream and saw him stumble onto the grass verge. When we reached him, he was face down in the ditch. We turned him over and dragged him back onto the verge. His glasses had been knocked off and he didn't look the same. He looked just like a boy, and he looked dead. His hands were on his throat, and as we watched, the colour in his cheeks and lips changed from pink to purple. "Shit, is he dead? What should we do?" "I don't know. Is he breathing?" "I don't know. I can't see any movement. You stay here with him. I'll run to the doctor's house." "No, you stay. No, you stay. I'll go." We both ran and left him. We hadn't enough breath to explain it all, but we heard the noise of the spinning wheel as the doctor gunned his car out of the drive. The doctor's wife phoned for an ambulance. "Shall I phone your parents and tell them what has happened?" No, we replied in unison. "It's all right. We'll tell them." I went straight to my room, lay on my bed shaking and sweating with fright. Poor old woman be buggered. But it wasn't our fault, we didn't make him go. Things were very quiet at school for the rest of the week. Everyone had heard of the incident and questioned us, but we only told of his falling into the ditch and us fetching the doctor. It seems that it was only because the doctor had been able to perform an emergency operation before the ambulance arrived that James had survived, and they seemed to think that it was our quick action that saved him. Looking back, I was pleased that Althea hadn't turned up, because she wouldn't have been able to keep her mouth shut. On Monday morning, Miss Johnson started her lesson with one of her speeches as usual. "We are very pleased to see James back with us after his frightening experience. What an unfortunate introduction to his new life with us. It was, as you may know, just an unusual and rare accident. It seems that James has an allergy to wasp stings. Not a very uncommon thing, but in poor James' case it seems that he was stung in his mouth, which resulted in a swelling which restricted his breathing. We have to compliment the friends that he was with, who acted with great maturity and presence of mind in getting help as quickly as they did. But I would say to you all, at this time of year it's not advisable to go near any places where there are wasps or bees' nests." And then looking directly at Dave, and then at Althea, "The woods are a particular place to avoid. It can be a dangerous place to play." Althea sniggered. Well, there we are. Not very well read, I'm afraid, but your comments would be appreciated, and I doubt that I will do it again. It was just an experiment of something different, and next time we'll get back to more of my little stories. So until then, as usual, goodbye.
有意